Title: Jamie Dimon, Never Met Epstein, Who? The Mystery of Millions Marinating at JPMorgan Chase for 15 Years. TL:, Jamie Dimon, the top dog at JPMorgan Chase, claims total ignorance of any connection with the notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein. Despite Epstein banking big bucks with Chase for a decade and a half, Dimon says he had no idea who Epstein was until his 2019 arrest and subsequent headline-grabbing scandal. Who? Epstein? Never heard of him. That's what JPMorgan Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, recently testified, causing brows to raise all over Wall Street. I mean, come on, Jamie. Epstein was a banking customer of yours for a good 15 years, don't you think you'd have heard his name at least once in passing? Dimon was under oath when he pleaded ignorance about Epstein and his infamous history. Remember, this is the guy who, in 2008, pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution and later ended up in a prison cell after being rearrested and charged with sex trafficking. During the deposition, Dimon maintained he was surprised he'd never heard of Epstein until 2019 when the headlines went crazy. But isn't it a little weird that he never knew anything about Epstein, especially considering the man was swimming in a pool of dollar bills right at JPMorgan Chase? Now, there's a lawsuit, launched by the US Virgin Islands and a victim of Epstein's, aimed directly at Chase for its association with Epstein. But the bank is holding firm, claiming zero liability. The Virgin Islands complaint goes as far as to claim that JP Morgan's connection with Epstein was known at the highest levels of the bank, even including Dimon himself. The proof? An email from way back in 2008 discussing the probable outflow of Epstein's assets. An eyebrow-raising statement, wouldn't you say? And get this. According to the deposition transcript, Dimon had no clue that Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor back in 2008. He also said he didn't know the bank was reviewing whether Epstein should stay a customer due to his plea. The plot thickens as we see Dimon pointing fingers at Steve Cutler, the bank's former general counsel, as the one who decided to keep Epstein as a client. So, should we be holding Cutler responsible for this hot mess? Dimon's defense seems a bit shaky, especially when you consider a 2011 email by Cutler stating that Epstein was not honorable and shouldn't be a client. Wasn't Dimon aware of this email, or was he just conveniently playing blind? The Virgin Islands attorney suggests that Mary Erdouche, CEO of Private Bank or Asset and Wealth Management, could have terminated Epstein as a customer. In response, Dimon didn't deny it. He only added, "I generally would say that's true, yes." Despite all this drama, Dimon stands firm on his position. He never met, knew, or had a meal with Epstein. And while he admits there's a chance Jess Staley knew about Epstein's misconduct, he says he never discussed Epstein with Staley. So, what do we have here, folks? A top-tier banker claiming ignorance of a high-profile client linked to